Hello and welcome to the next lesson, case study number 12, auction-based marketplace. Let's get started. Liam loves antiques and wants to start an online auction platform. This platform will help collectors and sellers auction unique items like rare books, vintage furniture, and artwork. He believes an auction will help sellers make the most money while exciting buyers. With a strong network of collectors and sellers already established, Liam hopes this marketplace will become the top place for buying and selling rare and valuable items. Here's his requirements. Sellers can create auction listings with a starting bid, reserve price, and duration. Real-time bidding allows buyers to place bid and see updates on the highest bid. Users receive notifications for important events like being outbid or nearing auction end. A secure payment system processes transactions after successful auctions. An audit log tracks all bids and transactions for transparency and dispute resolution. All right, let's get to the design. And we always start with the user, because if we don't have a user, why are we building the system in the first place? All right, so again, whenever you hear a secure payment system, you're also going to need a secure authentication system. So let's go ahead and put our trusty authentication service. You got the service connected to a key value store. You get the username, password, or credentials, the key. The role that they have is and their ID is the value, all right? And that connects to a central web service that hosts all these things. So let's go ahead. We see this pattern in a number of these case studies for good reason. So let's just talk about authentication service. Extend this out. And then we have our web service. All right, let's go ahead and connect them up right now. User to authentication service to web service. Now, if you're thinking about, okay, like auction-based marketplace is still a store of sorts, right? So you're going to need to have structured information ready and available and accessible. So that means that we're going to need some sort of data layer service, right? Go ahead, the service connects to relational database. We go ahead and put that data layer service here to house information like the auction, the information about the product, the description, things like that, details. We want to make sure that the details of the actual things being sold, transactions, when auctions were won or lost, what happened in auction, we want to make sure that we have that stored in a ready area. So that gives us the ability to create auction listings with a starting bid, reserve price, and duration. All that can be stored in the data layer service. Now, here's the thing though. When it comes to live auctions, you're talking about maybe 15, 20 people, a number of people bidding on something live, right? While relational databases can handle concurrency, when you're really talking about sometimes even milliseconds between somebody says, oh, I'm outbidding that, it may not be the best data store to handle that kind of information. So you have this stored, this structured information that makes sure that whatever information is in it is in the right format. That has rules applied to it. That's consistent. That's the strength of a relational database. But if you're talking about real-time edits and updates, and making decisions based on these real-time updates, a relational database is not strong for that. It might take some time for updates to show up, depending on how many are happening at the same time. Two transactions happening at the same time might have a view of the database that's before the update's being applied. So because of that, of course, we still use the web service. We have our data layer service that has that structured information. But that also means, though, is that we'll have a separate service for the auction. We're going to call that the auction service. So we're going to have auction service. All right. Okay. And then the user will still need to authenticate to the authentication service, and they'll go directly to this auction service. And this auction service will also be connected to the data layer service. Oh, hold on. Let me clean this up a little bit. Come on. Work with me here. Oh, that's why. Wait, why can't... This is being a little weird. Okay, how about we try another thing? Let's do this. Auction service. Come on. I got it. Auction service connects to the data layer service, right? Because you want to get that initial, hey, the initial auction service. Because the idea is here. You have a user, they create an auction, what have you. That's great. When the auction happens, they get another link, goes to the authentication service, goes to the auction service. They start the auction. People are going in, ready to go ahead and do so. The initial information of the auction service it's loaded from the data layer service, so the auction service is ready. Now, if you have multiple people like giving auctions and stuff, you're gonna have like data that's being updated really quickly. When what structure is good for that, right? Well, we do know the stuff that's also good for caches. We put a service in front of a key value store, right? And we're going to call that actually, and we're going to call that pretty generically just because the service might need a number of things to store here, but we're going to call it the auction data service. And the idea here is that it's not a cache per se, but it's like during an auction, there's going to be items that needs to be saved very quickly. And that's where we're going to load it here. Like one thing would be the price. Like what's the current bid, I should say, the current bid. You want to, like, that's something that we want to put in here because we want to have a fast write because we're going to have a number of people making additions, making changes based on, being in the auction service. So you have that concept. In addition, when things change, you want people need to be notified in real time. You don't want them to have to refresh the browser or get, to do so. Or have have to manually subscribe to anything. We want them to get that information. So anytime again you say real life, real real-time updates, that's when queues are really great for this. Connected to a worker. All right. And then we connect the auction service to this. And we're going to call this. No, sorry. I'm going to call this. Ooh. Participant notification workers. All right. And so the caveat about this is that when updates happen, right, we want to kick off something in a queue that kicks a worker that updates the user saying, oh, hey, there's a new price, or hey, like you're nearing the time that the auction is occurring. You want the users to automatically be able to be subscribed to like an auction so that any events like auction start, auction's about to be over, they subscribe to those updates as well. So we have this that like when they get to the auction, they get subscribed to this automatically. And now that's where we kick off workers to go back to the user to give us information about how the auction is going. All right, so we have this. So, okay, cool. So now we have the users receive notifications for important events like being outbid or nearing auction end. We want to then now, when the auction is completed, we want to be able to say like, oh, okay, now they can go ahead and make the transaction. So we want to have that ability here. So what we need is, as you can guess, anytime we've kind of like dealt with being able to externally connect, to be able to externally pay for something, we use an external service for that. And we called it the generic external banking service. All right. So you can imagine after the auction is end, this auction service will be able to, help them connect all the way to directly. Wait, hold on. directly to the external bank server, whoever won, right, to be able to pay for the item. So that's why we have a connection, and we're connected right there. So we have that secure payment system, process transaction after successful auctions. In addition, we need to have the audit log that tracks all bids and transactions for transparency and dispute resolution, right? So what we'll do is, of course, like at the end of the day, like this whole data will be saved in data layer service. We also, if you've seen like as a pattern, we like to have a separate audit log service so that it can be independently verified that these are all the things that happened. So we go ahead and we put a audit log service here. And anytime a auction is done, the auction service kicks off, what do we call it? Kicks off and saves the data of what happened as a result. Hold on, let me just put this into the front. Move to front, right? And saves into the audit log service. And then that service is open. It can be independently, like, people can go into it and be able to say like, okay, these are all the things that occurred. Okay. And yeah, and this is essentially is our system. The system enabled to authenticate, be able to create auction services separate from the web service, to be able to handle real-time updates. It has a fast key value store service in order to be able to save intermediate data during the auction. It also has access to participant notification networks to be able to send real-time notifications to people, to allow people to know in real time how the auction's going. When it's completed, it can go revert the winner to the external banking service to purchase, and also all the stuff that happened is saved in an audit log service as per our requirements. All right, now thank you so much. Let's go to our key takeaways. First key takeaway: real-time auction marketplaces must keep everyone updated to the latest information. Now, our participant notification service, I changed that to being workers in order to be able to more adequately update the user, helps ensure all participants to get the information they need from the auction by using a queue. The system will subscribe all relevant parties to the particular queue representing an auction. Second key takeaway: a separate system is essential for tracking all bids and transactions and resolving disputes. It doesn't need to work in real time like the bidding process, but it must capture all relevant information. This system achieves this by using the audit log service to store and retrieve all logs of what's happened in a file store. Third key takeaway: note that a separate auction service has its data in the auction data service. A key value store backs the auction data service to handle quick updates. We want the auction to be able to move fast, providing updates about the bid to all contestants as quickly as possible. When completed, the auction service sends the user to the external banking service to complete the transaction. Thank you so much. I'll see you at the next one.